All right, recording. Yep, there's two more coming in. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight, making the sacrifice. We're loading people in right now, so bear with us. I already see one very familiar face. Gabriel Bueller is in the house. Oh my gosh, Washington County Chair. Thanks for coming. Sandra Nelson. Wow, I love it. Tyler, look at that. We got a bunch of good people in here. Everybody's good people in here. That's what I know. All right, well, bad news right off the bat. Jonkus is texting me right now. He's tied up in something. He's doing a bunch of depositions right now for some cases in Southern Oregon. Hopefully he can jump in and join us and say hi and talk about what he's doing in his role. But for usual and how we normally start these things off, is we do a quick prayer from Paul Cantrell, Pastor Paul, and that'll get us started. But for the most part, I just want to go over a little bit about what we have planned tonight. We're just going to talk about ENDVBM. We're going to bring an initiative petition. We're going to create an organizational structure, and we're going to fight this thing in the arena. We're going to go big or we're going to go home, and I'm going to go big. That's just the way I am. So we're going to explain it all to you and introduce ourselves, the directors, although Jonkus isn't quite here, but we're going to introduce ourselves, go over some of the talking points, go over some of the roles you can play, some of the volunteer positions that we're looking for, and talk about our fundraising, our use of funds, and just kind of call it at that point. We won't meet next week, but we'll be doing this every Thursday at 5:30. Next week's Thanksgiving. Rep Yunker reminded me of that because I was trying to get Yunker on here with us next week, and he said, it's Thanksgiving. I was like, oh yeah, week after that. And he said, done. So he's doing some really cool stuff, attacking the SOS, and I'm really looking forward to that. So where's Paul? Paul, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, start us off.
So I was reading today. I came across a scripture that we've all read, but I caught something on it that in a translation it says, "It's not by force and strength, but by my spirit," says the Lord of, some say hosts. This translation actually says the Lord of heaven's armies, which if you look in there, it's actually to tactically move. And I thought that was interesting to me because a lot of times, especially evangelical community, we say by the Spirit, and it's almost like we go on our heels and sit down. But armies are meant to be assembled and strategically sent. So I just thank you that the Spirit is not only your Spirit that's at the base of our identity as a nation and as a community, God, but it's actually the same Spirit that He builds strategy and can be tactically sent, God. So I just pray that during this meeting tonight and at the beginning of this, that this would continue to be a place where we would gather and encourage each other, because courage is contagious. But also, God, I just release the creativity of heaven over everybody tonight. I just ask for dreams, strategies, and different ways that we each in this time, in this place, in this state can be used, tactically used in heaven's armies for this chasing after and standing up for this beautiful thing called freedom. So I just bless tonight. I thank you that you're in our midst, and I thank you that when you're on our side, no matter how much hopeless or helpless it looks, God, you bless you equals victory. So I thank you for all that in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
I met Paul within the first 30 days after I started Free Oregon, and he's been a spiritual advisor to me ever since, and he's been right in there with us ever since. And we could never have gotten this far. We couldn't have accomplished what Free Oregon accomplished without Paul. It just wouldn't have happened. So thank you, Paul. It's good to have you start us off tonight. I'll just start with myself. My name's Ben Edel. I got into politics after we lost our businesses in Portland, and we refused to comply with lockdowns and the medical mandates. And we took it all the way to the end until we were attacked and vandalized and threatened and on the news and all kinds of stuff. And I started Free Oregon, and I've been a political activist, political leader ever since. And I just feel blessed to have to be here. There's no way I could have done what I've done or experienced what I've experienced without God's making that happen. And so I just feel a lot of strength from that. We're doing it again. This really reminds me, after this election cycle, it really reminds me of what we faced in 2021. People were upset. They were fed up. They knew the truth. They weren't being told the truth. Everyone knows when you're being lied to. Everyone knows it. You just know it. You know when you're being lied to. And so we knew it back then, and now we know it again. And this is a new battle, but it's just as imperative that we defeat this effort to steal away our democratic process. It's extraordinarily dangerous for us to allow this to continue. And so I'm the director of the PAC. I'm one of 3 directors. We have Stephen Jonkus and Michaela Hammerson. And Michaela, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So I got involved probably close to around the time Ben got involved. We were in different areas. And, the thing that spawned me into action was COVID. And then what really spawned me into action was the stolen election. I couldn't believe it in 2020. And I decided to get involved in the local Republican Party down in Douglas County. I became an executive board member shortly after that, and the vice chair of the party shortly after that. And I've also served as the Umpqua Public Transportation District chair. Recently, I was elected to that position. When we were doing special district elections, we really focused on trying to get Republicans to take positions that weren't being taken in our county. And so we worked really hard on that. I decided to run as well and took a position. My husband ran for a school board position, and so he's part of the school board. I've learned so much about local politics, and I've learned that unfortunately, even in Republican areas of this state, they don't believe that our votes are being properly accounted for. And I'm very passionate about election integrity. It's one of the very first things that got me involved. And this petition is actually a dream come true for us. We want there to be in-person, one day with ID, hand-counted elections. And everyone has told us that it can't happen, it can't be done, and we're going to prove that it can be done. And I think there are a lot of people in Oregon that are done with this and are ready for people to step up. Just the fact that you're on this call tonight shows that there are a lot of people interested in Oregon, and we're just getting started. So thank you for getting in on the ground floor, you guys. This is going to be a really exciting process. So thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. Stephen Jonkus, I'll do my best to speak for him. I met Stephen. He used to be he was a intellectual property, an IP attorney. So he was very familiar with the federal process. Prior to becoming an attorney, he was a chemical engineer. Actually, sorry, he was basically a rocket scientist. He worked for NASA, and he also worked at Trojan. And he's quite a guy. He's a very smart guy. And he got bored with all that and became a lawyer. He was working IP law, and when 2021 happened and the Free Oregon movement started to take shape and the vaccine mandates came, he was a member of Free Oregon, and he reached out and he said, I want to sue. I want to sue him for the vaccine mandate. I want to sue him for the mask mandates. And I talked to all my attorney friends. I've been 20 years in business. I know a lot of attorneys. And all of them told me that he was crazy. And I thought, you know what? That means we need to go with him. So we went with him. And that lawsuit that we started at that time is right now before SCOTUS. And so it's pretty incredible to see that amount of time go by and to see Stephen Jonkus' career take off down the path of civil rights. and which it has. He's a 100% civil rights attorney now. He's known around the country for his lawsuits amongst lawyers and other civil rights lawyers. He's become an incredible player nationwide, and he was recently selected by Judicial Watch to be the local counsel for their lawsuit to make Oregon clean up the voter rolls. And so to be in this journey with him is I mean, it's choking me up. I gotta say, I just sorry. We've just come a long ways, and now I think it's time to go for the jugular when it comes to our elections. And Stephen agrees, and Michaela agrees, and I know you all agree. One of the things that we're going to talk about is the strategy, the political strategy here. And you know how it is in politics. There's a lot of pushback, and there's a lot of varying interests, and there's a lot of ideas. And I think it sometimes can be challenging to incorporate all those ideas, and but at least you can make sure that those ideas are heard. It is in my heart. That's all I can tell you. My argument is that it's in my heart that if we go for the most boldest action, that will pay off. And I will explain to you why. First off, there's two major objections that I'm hearing, generally speaking, from the public and from followers and from my fellows in the political space. One of them is you can't vote your way out of rigged elections. So what's an initiative petition going to do? And I'm going to explain it to you. If we go after this with all our might, and we run a petition that is based on the ending of vote by mail, in person with ID, hand counted at the precinct level, all ballots by 8 p.m. on election day, and a statewide holiday on election day, that's bold. And what I think we're going to do is we're going to bring a lot of attention across the nation to what's going on the West Coast. And it's not just Oregon. Washington is very, very bad, and California is very, very bad. But Oregon is the beginning. It's the foundation of all vote by mail and voter fraud. We've perfected it here, and so I think we need to go right at it. And if we get the signatures, which I know we can do, I know we can get 130,000 signatures. If we do this right and we structure it right, I know we can do it. If we make it onto the ballot, that in and of itself is a huge victory for conservatives, for Republicans. But I'm going to tell you something. If we can fight this properly in the arena, which I pledge to do, I will go in the arena in front of everyone in the glass house, and I will throw it down against these communist leftists that control our government. And I mean, I'm including Republicans. There's communist leftist Republicans in our government as well. I'm including all of them together. I will go fight them in the arena with the media as we are gathering those signatures, and we will battle it out, and we will wake up Oregonians. It is the same thing that worked at Free Oregon. We woke people up. We told the truth, and that's what works. The truth ages very, very, very well. And I think for the next 2 years, we have an entire federal government that's America first for the most part. We have total control of our federal government, all three branches. And this is the time where Congress and the Senate can act to end vote by mail for federal elections. But we have to partner that up with an end vote by mail effort in our state. It's the only way. Otherwise, we're going to be voting in person for federal races and voting by mail using the ERIC system and everything else for our state races. So we'll get more and more to the left in our state instead of following what Oregonians really truly want. And
I want people to hear that, Ben. This moment right now, this is the moment we've been waiting for. It is the perfect time for us to move forward with this, because if we miss this window, this 2-year window, we may not be able to do it after that. So it's critical that this is done now.
100%. I'm so glad you reiterated that. 100%. And if you've got a question, keep it up, and remember, because we're going to go to questions in a little bit, and we're just going to engage people. But that's one, right? That's one. We can't vote our way out. but we may very well be able to get the U.S. Attorney General to come in and audit our election systems. And that is the ultimate goal. Whether we can win or win, even if we lose, we can win, because we have to see this audit. We have to know what the truth is, because nobody believes it. Look, I'm a Portlander. I'm born and raised in the inner city of Portland. I'm a very, very classical liberal. My ideology is very classical liberal. I would have been a liberal at any time, but I've always been Republican because I don't like authority and big government. So I'm a liberal Republican, old school liberal. And I make very good friends sometimes with people that are high profile Democrats in the city of Portland. Rene Gonzalez, Dan Ryan, George Carrillo. These are some of my friends. And they couldn't believe it either. They don't believe it. It didn't match up. They don't believe it. So too many anomalies, too many things. So I think we have an opportunity right now to really bring in our citizen counterparts to understand and even potentially participate in opening up the black box of our election. So this is a critical time. The other thing is the other objection that I've received from my friends, from my colleagues, from followers is that it's too big. People like vote by mail in Oregon. Oregonians love vote by mail. They're proud of vote by mail. And so we need to go after something that's more attainable and more where we could get some success. And I understand it. I understand both objections very well. I especially understand this objection. And I think that if we did that, we wouldn't be able to really get the attention. We wouldn't be able to impress Congress. We wouldn't be able to impress the Senate. We wouldn't be able to impress President Trump. And we have to. The only way we're gonna get the support from the national level into Oregon and into the West Coast is if we impress these people. They have to know that there is an army of fighters in Oregon, an army. And so we need to do something bold and do something exciting and do something that's unifying across the board and do something that really gets the attention nationally. I think this has to be our goal. And if we can get national attention and the national spotlight on Oregon's election systems, we could potentially even prevent other states from falling as far as we have here. And so that's my thinking. That's my logic. That's just where I'm at. I think that this pathway is the win-win, whether we lose or win. But the key thing is we've got to get those signatures. The one thing we cannot fail at is getting on the ballot. That's critical, because if it's on the ballot in 2026, then we've won. We've won on all key fronts. And we know that our elections are rigged. And so we know, just like with Measure 114, you go to sleep and we're up by 8 points, and then you wake up and we're down by 200 votes. And we know that was all shenanigans, just like what's happening right now with Tracy Kramer's race. It's all shenanigans. And so that's our positioning. If you agree with it, join us. If you don't agree with it, join us. This is it. We got to fight. We got to put up a fight. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to continue to say this. What happened in the 2024 election in Oregon is what the Second Amendment was made for. Okay? That is a truth. That is a fact. This is what it's for. And so we have to make sure and understand that we do everything in our power to win this fight peacefully and politically. Okay? Because if not, that will come into play at some point. This is not the first time our country has been in this situation. The West Coast signed the West Coast State Pact in early 2020 to violate constitutional rights of its citizens as a pact. And that was the only time that's ever happened, when states have gotten together to sign a pact to violate the civil rights of Americans, was prior to the Civil War. So we are in a precarious situation, so it means everything. It's the future for our kids. It's the future of our country. Everything is at stake. Everything is at stake. So that all said, I'd like to read the petition. Unless, Michaela, do you want to read the petition? Yeah, you read it, because
Sure.
you read it. I want you to read it.
I'll read it so that your voice can get a break for a second, because he'll talk the whole time.
That's that too.
Okay, so this is the wording we have for our initiative petition. So amends the Constitution requires all elections to be held on a single day in person, with exception to verified absentees by those persons who have registered to vote prior to Election Day, requiring valid photo identification with allowance for provisional ballots, paper ballots, and each precinct hand counting with witnesses. Those ballots from voters who are who are present at the polling location no later than 8 p.m. on the day of the election. Declares Election Day a state holiday, but special and primary election days are not state holidays. Completed ballots shall be maintained with a chain of custody archived at the county level and published to the public by each county, along with tallied results, voter roll, and identification of voters who voted free of charge without redaction.
Thank you,
So
Steve Jonkus.
that is a pie in the sky. That is every single thing I think that that we as patriots have wanted and asked for the last 4 years.
And the title of the ballot will be negotiated. We're going to be negotiating with the titling and the language of the petition it's a constitutional amendment, and so we're going to go back and forth with the Attorney General, which is now Dan Rayfield, and Dan Rayfield's the guy who deplatformed me on Meta with 9,000 followers for telling people that Multnomah County had only removed 6 people from the voter rolls in the last 4 years, and I was like, more than 6 people die in Multnomah County every day by lunchtime. And so they did a fact check through the Associated Press. They interviewed Dan Rayfield as the Speaker of the House, and he's the one who set everybody straight. And I told the truth. I was in a lawsuit, Thielman v. Fagan. I was part of that lawsuit, and I had received that information through that lawsuit by every single county that we sued. And that 6 wasn't even a unique number. Washington County, I think, removed 12 in the last 4 years. Clackamas, I think, removed a handful. These are all single-digit removals because they're not allowed to. So anyway, with Stephen Jonkus and Judicial Watch suing the state of Oregon for not cleaning the voter rolls, which is against federal law, I think they're going to win because they've done this in 4 other states and they've won all 4 states. So this is going to be a winner. So we don't have to attack that. What we need to do is we need to attack vote by mail, and we can, and we've got a trifecta. We've got the federal government on our side. We've got Judicial Watch picking off the most important thing, our voter rolls, and then we're going to try to pick off vote by mail. And between the 3 of us, I think we're going to work out very, very well. Wonderful petition. I'm so excited for it. It is absolutely pie in the sky. But why not? Be bold, right? There's an old saying, fortune favors the bold. That's because everyone knows that no human being can pull this stuff off. You got to have something more powerful behind you, and we do. As far as talking points go, and then we're going to move over to questions and stuff for the next 15, 20 minutes. Talking points are really simple. When I'm debating people about election fraud in Oregon, they go, there's no fraud. You're an election denier. And I say, okay, here's 5 examples of fraud. And I can give 5. And we're going to put all this information on our website so that what I'd like to do is get all this information on our website so people can literally see the encyclopedia of Oregon's election fraud. And we'll break it down really, really nicely, high level, mid, and then deep dive stuff. But when someone says there's no fraud in Oregon, I just say to them, I've given you 5 examples of fraud. Now I want you to prove to me, give me 1 example of how there's no fraud in Oregon. Okay, that's it. That's the position I'm going to take to the state. The state has to prove to the people beyond any doubt that our elections are secure, and they won't because they can't. They've even, and the other thing that I think is really important is if you want indisputable proof, totally indisputable proof of widespread massive election fraud in the state of Oregon, you have to go as far as the legislation. We've got 3 bills since 2021, one of them that prevents the public, i.e. a third-party auditor, from seeing the cast vote record. The cast vote record is a receipt that comes from tabulators that tells you the time, the vote, the count, where it went to, and you can look at all that. That right there is how you compare to ballot images or actual hard copy ballots to confirm that those things match. And if they don't match, that means there's been computer fraud or there's been fraud occurring through code on the back end of these tabulators. It's the only way to see if there's fraud. But by removing that, it's Senate Bill 166 in 2023, actually, that prevents the public from seeing it. And they masked the bill because they said, well, all these threats are coming to our election workers. And I don't know if there really was. I mean, no one really I'm like, did you threaten anybody? Nobody I do threaten anybody. And I'm like, well, sure, if you feel like your elections are stolen, you might make a threat. I don't blame you. But they say all this stuff and it's not even probably true. But they say it and then they pass these bills and this is how they mask it and they get it sold to the public. But what they're really doing is they're preventing anyone, a third-party auditor, from actually auditing any kind of election in Oregon. Why would you want to do that? I don't know. Can't look. Okay. If you want to search your kid's room because you suspect they got contraband and they tell you, can't look, I'm not going to let you look. Okay. All right. I'm already sold that you're doing something wrong. So anyway, you get it. The other bill was they literally passed a bill in 2021 leading into the 2022 gubernatorial election to prevent the cleaning of voter rolls. And not only that, but that bill brought back over 500,000 previously deactivated registered voters that haven't voted in 10 years. These are people who died or moved out of state, and they brought them back onto the rolls. And then what happened? Drazen lost by 50,000 votes and Republicans didn't turn out. Well, you can't make sense of this. Why would you have dead people registered to vote? Why? Why would you do it? So these are just this is the indisputable evidence. The other one is the, oh my gosh, what's the third one? Someone help me here. There's a third one. Anyway, I can't remember. Those two are pretty dang good. But there's a third one, and we'll put it on the website, that was really odd as well. That's just like the only reason you do this is to cheat. So,
well, one of the other things too is like what came out of the Jonkus-Thielman lawsuit, which you can just go to that lawsuit. That has everything that's wrong with elections in Oregon. But
true.
One of the things that happened here in Douglas County was when we did request those ballot images, we were being charged $52,000 because they supposedly needed to have those be redacted. So yeah, there are anomalies all over the state. There are problems all over the state. We knew that the machines were hooked up to the internet or able to be hooked up to the internet because we were told that in another court case that can be cited.
Yeah, Washington County v. Simple.
Yeah, so there are so many of these things happening. I mean, I don't think that we have to convince people on this call, but for this purpose of talking about talking points, they'll be on the website so that if you are a canvasser, if you're helping to gather signatures, you'll be able to have, be armed with those tough questions that are going to come up, and you'll be able to provide examples for people who may be hesitant to sign. So that's the main purpose for that.
Yep. So that's exactly right. And we have, so the 2 points are look no further than the legislation, which we're going to be putting on the website very soon. It's on my website, benedl.com/badbills, but we're going to move some of that stuff over. And then the other one is I've given you examples of fraud, prove that there isn't, and they can't do that. So that's going to be the fundamental wedge, if you will, the public relations wedge that we're going to go with. And then we dropped into the, I don't know, Mikhail, if you want to review this part, but we dropped off the, in the chat, there's going to be a file. It's an image. It's the organizational chart.
Do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, you can share screen too. Absolutely. Share screen and go over that. Some of the job titles in gray are single positions, and the job titles in red are scalable positions, meaning that we can have as many people as possible in the red seats. That's what we really need. And then the gray seats or the black seats are the ones that were, yeah. Anyway, I'll let Michaela take you through it.
Okay. Can you guys see it? Is it loading? Can you see it, Ben?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, so we have the directors here at the top. We do have our treasurer selected already, but we're looking to fill some of these other positions, which are chief strategist, PR coordinator, technology chair, volunteer chair, research chair, and creative chair. And then these three positions down at the bottom, the volunteer chair, research chair, and creative chair, are all more scalable. So they will kind of have their own teams to manage. And you're going to see the volunteer chair. This is going to, mostly be delegated to our counties, broken up by county, broken up by precinct, sort of following our central committee model. Hopefully, we can get most of our central committees on board to help with this. Generally, they do that. But we are looking for people to help either be a coordinator for their district, for their county, that sort of thing, for the canvassers. We're going to have a research team put together, and whoever's heading up as the research chair will have their team to work with, and then a creative chair too. The creative chair, I'm pretty excited about the idea of a creative team. One of the really cool things that came out of us initially posting our idea on X was that we got a ton of feedback from just people out there who are like, I'm passionate about this, and by the way, I happen to have this really great skill. I'm a web designer, or I design videos, or whatever it is, that they have some really great talents there. And I think that one of the things that the Democrats have been able to do better than us, better than conservatives in general, is to get these creative, the arts, and to get these creative people involved who are really good at messaging. And so I'm excited about that. Obviously, this is a nonpartisan effort, and hopefully we'll get some Democrats to come and design our stuff for us. But we do have some people already. If anybody is like passionate about one of these areas and they think that they would be a really good fit, please feel free to reach out to Ben and I. The one thing that I think is super important about this effort, and I want to say it over and over and over, is that there is no limit to our success. There's no limit to the people that can be involved in this. We want everybody to be involved. If you want a leadership position within this movement, we want you to have a leadership position within this movement. So we're looking for the best and the brightest and the most passionate people. So just like I said, feel free to reach out to us on X, via email. However, you guys know how to get a hold of us. But if you're interested in one of these positions, we're looking to fill them. What else do you have on that, Ben? Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And so, yeah, well, that's absolutely right. Let's see if we can stop share.
I know I'm trying to. I'm still kind of learning Zoom. I haven't had to use it a whole lot. Oh, here we go. There's a red button that says stop share. Got it. All right. Did you want me to share something else?
No, I think that's great. So I want to there's a lot of questions. I was kind of checking out the chat. And so we need people from across the state. Oregon has an initiative petition process that we're going to utilize. Washington and California, if there's anybody from Washington or California in here today, we'd really like to have some kind of united front on the West Coast. And so we'd love to do that. I don't know the details like I do in Oregon in terms of the pathways to attack this. But I know in Washington, they passed a big sweeping legislation that essentially made Washington Oregon. They did that last session, and everybody's blown away up there too, just like we are here. How did we move to the left? We don't know anybody that voted that way. Even Democrats didn't vote that way. So we're all trying to figure it out. But Oregon is our priority, and that's where we're focused. And so that's where we're going to stay focused. If you want to apply for one of these roles, they're all volunteer. We're all volunteering here. I am too. We're all volunteering. Send an email to help@endvbm.com, okay? And say, hey, if you're signed up on help at endvbm.com, if you signed up and filled out the volunteer, you can also put that in your in the comments. There's a comment section that's like a free form that you can say what you're interested in. Otherwise, we're going to reach out to everybody that did, and you can also email help@endvbm.com. That is also in the chat. You can email that, and we'll start placing you. What we're doing right now, as far as process and timeline, real quickly, is we have to build our infrastructure. We've seen some of our friends get out and do some initiative petitions, and they didn't have the infrastructure. We need to make sure that we have a statewide infrastructure of coordinators and leaders and canvassers and everybody in place to where we can recruit and grow. This will pick up steam, so we have to have the right people in the right seats. As an organizational leader for most of my career, to me, that's the most critical thing. If the right person is in the right seats, they enjoy what they're doing. We're not saying, come in here and work 80 hours a week. I mean, if you can, please do. But if you can be available to manage a small team in your region or in your county or in your district, that's fantastic. And we won't grow coordinators, the people for coordinators. We would splice it up so that you don't have to manage 20 people. It's like you manage 5 or 6. What we're looking for with the county people is we're hoping to have county party members that are leaders that can help recruit, and then you get a coordinator, and so that way it becomes easy work, right? If we're all lifting, it's just a lot lighter. So we have this design structure. We think it's very, very workable. We are going to file probably either by tomorrow or early next week. We're going to file for the prospected petition, and to do that, we're going to need to get 1,000 signatures, which I think we could do fairly quickly. And then we start negotiating, and then we really go for it. But the first step is to get people involved and get some commitments to volunteer, and commitments to say, I can do 2 hours a week, or I can do an hour a week, or I can do 20 hours a week, like whatever it might be. We definitely want your commitment. And so that's what we're asking for tonight. And when we have that, we're going to stay in very close communication until it's go time. And when it's go time, it's go time. And we'll have these meetings every week so that we'll get used to meeting together and knowing each other and communicating together and stay close. Because what I've seen in politics is that if you don't activate a volunteer right away, you lose them. And so we want to make sure that we're staying together and we're building energy in our communities around this, and everyone here now has a hand that you can reach out when someone's bitching and moaning about the election results and the election and the integrity in Oregon. Say, stop it. I don't want to hear your bitching and moaning. I want you to be on my team and go get signatures, and let's end this thing. Let's do it. Let's end VBM. So anyway, that's our process. Michaela, do you want to talk about fundraising and use of funds and how we're going to do that?
Sure. So actually, that was one of the very first questions that we got is, why are you raising money? Why is there a donate button? And the reason why is because these things cost money. In fact, they cost kind of a lot of money. We not only are we going to have money for printing and for mailing and all of those basic things that you need when you're dealing with petitions and trying to get signatures, paying for a post office box, all of those little things. Actually, the huge portion that we are going to need money for is to combat all of the ads that are going to come at us if we're successful. Now, if we're not successful, we don't need any money, right? It's going to go away. Nobody's ever going to spend a dime to try to defeat us. But if we get close to the end and this is getting on the ballot, you are going to see millions of dollars coming against us to stop this from happening. So we're never going to raise millions of dollars. That's not going to happen. But we do need to have something to be able to combat what's coming at us. So we are going to want money for mailers. We're going to want money for TV ads, for radio ads across the state. We have a long time to raise money, which is great. But consider, if you have the financial capability to do that, consider thinking about doing possibly a small monthly donation, because over time that's going to grow. The more people we can do small monthly donations from, think of it like buying a cup of coffee or maybe your coffee for the week or something like that, because this is going to take some funding at the end. The other thing that would be fantastic if we can do it, if we can successfully raise enough money, we would like to have some paid canvassers. The Democrats do that and it works and they win when that happens. So if we get to a point where the fundraising is successful and there's money to pay canvassers, then those will be the only paid positions within this organization. So just something to keep in mind in the future, but that's what fundraising looks like. That's where the money's going to go to. Like Ben said before, everybody is here on a volunteer basis, and we're here because we love our country and we're trying to save it. So it's not going for personal enrichment for anyone. And with that, I think we can open this up for questions.
Yeah, and we can. I would also say one thing just to add to that, Michaela, before we open up questions is that if we do bring the attention of the new federal government and the congressional caucus wants to do something about this, we could have millions of dollars in the bank for advertising. And if we can do that, we can develop incredible advertising that could wake up so many Oregonians about the facts about our elections. And let me tell you something, the more Oregonians who know what's really going on, the less that will vote by mail, because we don't like it. It sure as hell is convenient, but I would rather go down to my neighborhood elementary school like I did in 1997 and cast my vote. And know that vote is not leaving that elementary school until it's counted and reported to the Secretary of State, not sent to the Secretary of State from a thumb drive. So there is I think there's actually huge potential that we could raise millions of dollars on this. But the first thing we have to do is we got to get 130 some thousand signatures at the very least. And that I think would be an incredible story if we did it without paid canvassers. However, if we need to, we can do that too. But we need us right now. That's all we got. That's all we can guarantee, just what Michaela's saying. And so I believe in us. I do. I believe we can do it. All right, questions.
All right. Roxanne's had her hand up the longest, so let me ask her to unmute.
Hand is getting tired.
Oh, did you put the hand down because you don't have a question anymore?
Oh, you got to unmute her. Hold on.
I said ask to unmute.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm trying to figure this out.
She may, if we say ask to unmute.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So, well, this is so very exciting, let me just say. But in the text of the initiative, we have to say, my understanding is we have to say what language we're taking out and what language we're putting in. So have you had an attorney prep all that for you?
That's what Stephen Jonkis is doing. And so first step we have to do is we have to title it. And so what we read to you is not the title. It's more about the example of the language. We have another version of it that's like probably maybe an eighth of the size of what was read to you. That is just a title. And with that title, we can go get 1,000 signatures. When we get 1,000 signatures with that title, then we negotiate with the Attorney General on the language of the measure. But we do. Stephen Jonkis is our attorney for that very reason.
Sometimes the Attorney General will reject it for being in the wrong format when you first turn it in. So you can get it rejected at the get-go before you get your 1,000 votes.
Yep.
Roxanne, we would love to have your experience if you would like to help us with this. And we fully expect it's going to be rejected first.
No good things are not rejected.
We expect an uphill battle the whole way, but we would love to hear what you have to say. So yeah, absolutely connect with Ben and I, because we would like you to be on a call, maybe with Jonkis and hammer some of this stuff out.
Roxanne, were you introduced to me today through Brian?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be talking.
Yeah. I mean, it says Roxanne because most people call me Roxy.
Yeah.
Oh, Roxy. Okay.
I put two and
and
two
I
together.
went to high school in Douglas County at Roseburg Senior High. So that's pretty cool that you're from there.
That's funny. My parents both graduated from Roseburg High. So
I love it.
Well, then the other thing I was going to say is there's some prep work that you can do, while your attorney's getting everything ready for the for the filing, to get it so that it'll pass muster. There's some prep work that you can do either with polling, but that usually costs a little money unless you can get some company to donate it because they love our cause so much. And also with contacting the people that have been known to donate to these sorts of efforts. You can get them in early in the conversation and say, we're hoping, we're going to keep track of, who's donating and how, and, our average size of donations and how many different people we have and how many different parts of the state the money's coming from. There's different stats that you can keep on that, and then approach the people that give the big money and get them on board at the beginning, so that to pique their interest. Now, a lot of times they wait to see how it pans out a little further before they put the money in, but sometimes you can do that. Is Tyler Smith on this call?
No, I didn't see Tyler.
Oh, it was a different Tyler. Okay.
There is a Tyler's iPhone. I don't know if it's Tyler Smith, but
it's not Tyler Smith.
Oh, okay.
I know the Tyler. I know the Tyler. He's going to ask a question.
I've never done a petition. Eric Winters has done them, some of the other people I know back in the day that did them have either died or moved out of state. So, I'm pretty old, but I'm really excited about this, and I hope to be helpful.
Well, thank you, Roxanne, so much. I'm looking forward to chatting with you offline. Thank you. Let's go to Dave Comstock. I'm asking you to unmute. There you go.
Hi, guys. I'm your neighbor to the north. I'm actually over here in Washington State.
Right on. Yes, we got one.
Well, you got more than one.
Oh, good. Better yet.
I've been doing election integrity for 4 years. I'm the chair of my county party for election integrity. I'm on the state election integrity, and I'm the grassroots leader for Cause of America with Mike Liddell.
Right on.
I've been doing this. I was one of the executive admins that came out of Maricopa County for America First audit 3-4 years ago.
Damn.
So
thanks for coming.
Yes,
well,
thank you.
this is just another example of God's intervention. I'm actually in a chat here in Washington State with a bunch of conservatives throughout the state, and I just opened it up by just checking it. I seen that there was alert that there was a new message, and somebody posted, and it said there was a Zoom link, and I'm always willing to jump into a Zoom link. So, you guys are on the right page. It sounds like you've got a good plan. I actually own. I don't know if any of you are on Telegram. I own Washington Audit Chat. I run the research team here in Washington on Telegram. We're the ones that wrote the 25 complaint letters in 2022 against our county auditors, 25 county auditors for deletion of federal election data. We're the ones that exposed Logically AI here in Washington State. And I'd love to sit down with you guys and give you some guidance and get you off the ground and help you motivate. We did have I believe we still have a good team of election integrity people through Cause of America. And I have talked with your vice chair of your state party, and we've discussed possibly doing some cross river stuff. So I would absolutely love to help you and to guide you down and get you guys. We just ran. I help Brian with Brian Haywood's team here locally. Also, that's the one. We're the ones that did the 4 state initiatives on the last ballot.
That's awesome, Dave. serendipitous that you're on this call tonight. So
Oh, this is the path that God's put me on. I was never political, and 4 years ago I was screaming at the TV, and my wife's told me to get a hobby, and I joined the Republican Party, and I've been
Now she's like, oh my God, I never see him, and I never see him anymore.
yep.
well, and I just threw my name in the hat for the county chair. And I've got, it looks like a pretty strong chance of taking that. So I will be taking this fight to the state party here in Washington too. So,
Wonderful.
but I would love to work with you guys. We've got a ton of research. I can teach you some real good little tricks that we've learned, and we've followed you guys too. We've got the mail-in stuff. The one I'm in the fight right now for, and actually be fighting the battle on Monday, is the Postal Service decided to, I don't know if you remember a few years back when we had the Postal Service nationally was crying that they were running out of money and they had to cut, but this and that, and they cut us down in Washington State from 13 ballot mail processing centers to 3. Now, what you guys probably don't realize is that the Postal Service actually has a subdivision that does not account to your Postmaster General in your state or your counties. They are a separate entity of themselves. They do nothing but mail-in ballots. The two do not cross. They do not answer to each other. So your mail-in ballots are probably handled just like ours. They go to a subgroup of the post office, and I can help you identify some of the ways of detecting this and identifying this to help you along that path. What they did here 2 months ago is our local post office and the state national decided that there was going to be too much of an influx on mail-in ballots. So they pulled 3 counties in one group, 1 county in another, and instead of sending them to the processing center in Spokane and barcoding, date stamping, and time stamping the ballots, they decided to congregate them at one post office here in an adjacent county and hand stamping them with just like the little rubber stamp that you go in with the post office. They hit on the little ink pad and then they stamp your mail. And that's how they did our ballots here in 3 counties.
We had something similar happen in our primary election. We had thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of ballots being held up by the USPS. And in a race that we were fighting, a very hard fought race in Senate District 1, our district had 8,000 less returns on average between the Senate districts north and south that were both equivalently distributed by Republicans. So very, very, very questionable stuff. Dave, I sent you a private message with my cell number on there. Text me. I'm going to get your number in my phone, and we are going to talk.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you came tonight. I'm really excited to get to know you better, and I'm so glad to have you here. Let's connect across the river. We need to make this thing a West Coast thing. Let's destroy the blue wall. All right, I'm going to go to Tyler. We got about 4 minutes. I like to end these things right at 6:30, so everybody knows that it's 5:30 to 6:30 going into the future, and then they're able to commit to that time.
So
Tyler, what's happening?
Ben, really quickly before we move on, we do have Beth in the chat who's trying to raise her hand.
Oh, Beth.
So we'll have one more person after Tyler because I want to get to her question too.
Wonderful, good catch, Tyler. You're live.
Okay. Well, I'll make it quick because I got 2 crying kids anyway. So. Generally, the Democrats, they usually pair a measure with like something else. So usually they'll, have the, legalized weed measure so they can get, whatever they're doing, get, more of an increased turnout. Is there any thought to finding something that would pair well with these types of voters and bases that we're trying to get out, while also not creating like more opposition? I know like school choice would be big, but bringing in teacher union money would also, cause issues there. So anything with like the health and food, something like that could get more people, interested in voting, and you kind of pair the 2 bases together. Increasing access to farmers markets, I don't know, but they're definitely gonna be taking that away soon enough.
Aren't they? Tom, that's a really
Yep.
good idea. I appreciate
I,
that.
I
That's
like that
interesting.
too. We'll think on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
for
for
sure.
that.
All right. And then where did Beth go? There she is. Okay. I asked you to unmute if it will let you.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So I know Ben from way back when, the recall of Dave Brown. And sorry for the incognito lights. I'm in the car. Philip Izon, have you guys heard of him?
Mm-mm.
So he in Alaska kind of single-handedly got removing ranked choice voting on their ballot this year, and they voted it out. So I met with him and had him come speak at different events this summer, and he has some really great strategies of how to traverse or canvass the entire state of Alaska, or for us, the whole state of Oregon. So I would be happy to set up a meeting with him for strategizing on how to accomplish this, because he's already done this kind of thing before.
I love it.
That
Yes.
would be
Okay.
so wonderful.
Absolutely.
Beth,
Yeah.
were you the one who moved to Texas?
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. Hi, good to
Yeah.
see you. I don't think
Oh,
I've
yeah.
ever seen you because
Oh.
we worked together via email.
Yeah. Yes. And I moved back. My son got a kidney and all is good in
Wonderful.
life.
Oh my gosh.
So, and I've just, I've run, I shouldn't say this publicly. I help candidates get elected in Yamhill County.
Good.
And so
that.
volunteers, I work with volunteers, large numbers of volunteers. So I would be happy to help in that regard.
That is
So-
amazing. I know you're so good at that, Beth. I got your contact info. I'm
Okay.
reaching out.
All right. Very good.
Love
Thank
it.
you. All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Beth.
We're going to do this not next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving, but the one after that. And so make sure you're signed up on endvbm.com. Sign up for the email blast. Check your spam folders. I'm sure you've got it. We'll put it out there. We're going to do it the same exact time. It's going to be the same meeting link. We're not going to change anything. So if you don't get communication, just pop in and see. And again, send that email to help@endvbm.com and let us know that you're interested in doing something and taking action, because
Yep.
you'll be surprised. A little bit of action by a lot of people goes a very long way. Okay.
Yes.
It means so much to see your faces tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing your faces again. I'm looking forward to getting to know you. I'm looking forward to getting to know each other. And I'm looking forward to fighting side by side in the foxhole to end vote by mail in Oregon. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.